Hormuz fully open. And this is frankly one of the things where the Iranians tried to move the goalposts during the negotiation. We made very clear that that's unacceptable. We came to the negotiation saying the United States, what we've given here is a ceasefire. We've stopped bombing the country. What we expect the Iranians to give up is a full reopening of the Straits of Hormuz. We have seen, as the president has said, some significant uptick in traffic coming through the Straits of Hormuz. That's good for the global economy.
Yeah, but the only ships that are getting through are Chinese, Pakistani, and Russian. I mean, even the what was it? The 20 boats, they gifted me 20 boats. No, bro, they gifted Pakistan 20 boats by allowing their oil tankers to go through and get their oil. So no, that wasn't a gift to us. That was a gift to their homies over there in Pakistan.
It's good for the United States of America as well. But we haven't seen that full reopening. So our expectation is that the Iranians are going to continue to make progress to opening the Straits of Hormuz. And if they don't, it's going to fundamentally change the negotiation that we have with them.
You're not surprised.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, though. I mean, now there's a double lock on the Strait of Hormuz. We're blocking it, and so is Iran. So it's kind of funny how we're over here going like, well, we'll just wait for them to open the strait. Yeah, but now there's a complete blockade on the strait. And the problem is, I'm not even sure if the United States can commit to this blockade. So you're telling me that if we see a Russian oil tanker, a Chinese oil tanker go through, we're going to shoot at it? Man, come on now, guys. Come on now. Are we that willing to pop off World War III? Is Trump that serious? Don't you think they're going to test his gangster on that one? I hope not, but I don't think that if we see a Russian or Chinese oil tanker float on through even Pakistan, we're not going to attack it. We're going to let them get their oil in bounds. This is honestly all for show, in my honest opinion.
I mean, the Iranians often talk about negotiations and in a different way. The Iranian foreign minister posted in intensive talks at highest level in 47 years, Iran engaged with the U.S. in good faith to end war. But when just inches away from Islamabad MOU, we encountered maximalism, shifting goalposts, and blockade. Zero lessons earned. Goodwill begets goodwill. Enmity begets enmity. That does not sound like they're heading back to the table anytime soon. Does this ceasefire continue and then the war starts again?
Well, first of all, Brett, I have to give a lot of credit to Field Marshal Munir and the Prime Minister of Pakistan, both who are incredible hosts and I think incredible statesmen, and helping, mediate the conversation between us and the Iranians. Again, two countries that have not really had serious discussions in a very long time.
And guys, this is why I say that the blockades for show, because I mean, are we really going to start shooting at our allies? So we're going to start shooting at Pakistan for getting their oil. We're going to block Japan, who truly needs that oil because they get 80% of the oil out of the Strait of Hormuz. So I get it. We're pretty much trying to say F Iran, but we're saying F our allies at the same time. Allies who had nothing to do with this. And also, like I said, if a Russian tanker or Chinese tanker go through, are we willing to blockade it or are we willing to shoot it? I doubt it.
But to your point about Foreign Minister Araghchi's statement, if you see what Foreign Minister Araghchi said, yes, there's a little bit of bluster. But if you read between the lines, he himself is saying that we were just inches away from an agreement. And I think that what that suggests is the Iranians, one, they're very interested in making a deal. Two, they did move pretty close to our position over the stage of the negotiations. But one thing I'll say, Brett, is Iranians are very different negotiators. At least those Iranians were very different negotiators than we are in the United States. What I did and what Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff did is that we made very clear, look, these are the things that we're willing to give, but these are the things that we must have. We must have the enriched material out of Iran. We must have their conclusive commitment to not develop a nuclear weapon.
Put boots on the ground. A lot of people don't want that already. Want to tell us that they don't, because if they didn't, then we'd have got this ceasefire, well, 2 days ago.
that if the Iranians are willing to meet us there, then this can be a very, very good deal for both countries. If they're not willing to meet us there, that's up to them. That's their decision. And really, ask what happens next. I think the Iranians are going to determine what happens next as the President of the United States says, we have the cards. We have the military advantage. We now have additional economic pressure that we're applying on them through the blockade that we've imposed on their oil coming out of the Straits of Hormuz. So we have a lot of cards. We have the leverage, and we're going to see what the Iranians do with that.
And so that's how the blockade works. U.S. Navy Iranian-flagged vessels going to the Strait, through the Strait of Hormuz?
Not just Iranian-flagged vessels, Brett, but any vessel that we know is going to Iranian ports or has come from Iranian ports. You're probably going to see some vessels try to reflag themselves, but of course, we're going to know, because we have very good intelligence, which ships are going in and which ships are coming out that are connected to Iran. But Brett, here's the very interesting thing about all this is that the only thing the Iranians have been able to do, they haven't, of course, beaten us militarily. The case when it comes to weapons of war, what they have done is engage in this act of economic terrorism against the entire world. They basically threatened.
Yes, they got the global economy by the nuts. And we can't open it basically without putting boots on the ground. We can't get close to the ports without facing a drone or missile threat. So, yeah. What's the goal here when you're blocking down the Strait of Hormuz? Because, I mean, let's be honest. Let's be real here. Like, yeah, we're stopping Iran from getting their money, and that's cool. But now not even our allies can get anything. And they were working out deals with Iran like Japan to get their oil out because they truly need it. So now we even blocked Japan from doing that. And now we're making the energy crisis even worse. Even worse. Not better, but worse. And inflation already knocked up to, 3.3%. Up almost a whole percentage point. Gas is up almost actually up a whole $1. So this is going to make things worse when it comes to the fuel economy. And I'm sorry, but oil is a global commodity. So you don't just measure it for how much oil we have in America for the price. You measure it for how much oil we have globally for the price. This is why no matter, even when Trump says, oh, we got our own oil, it don't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not priced by us having our own oil.
That's moving through the Straits of Hormuz. Well, as the President of the United States showed, two can play at that.
We didn't join them.
Thrive and succeed. He has had his negotiation team put on the table a serious proposal. The ball is in Iran's court. Did we make progress? Yes. But we're going to find out from the Iranians whether we can make that ultimate bit of progress that gets us to a big deal.
The president's also said he wants this to end soon as it can. It's being reported that you had real skepticism about this at the beginning and that you expressed that to the president. Is that true?
Well, Brett, you know, I give my advice to the President of the United States, and we all do. And I expect that when I give advice to the President of the United States, that it's going to be private, because the president should rely on his senior advisors without them then running to the media. What I will say, Brett, is that I 100% agree with the president on the fact that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. I've seen that just in the negotiation that we've had over the last couple of days, that these are tough negotiators, but they're fundamentally the kinds of people where them having a nuclear weapon would impose terrible costs on the entire world. If they're willing to engage in economic terrorism on the entire world, what would it mean? What leverage would they have if they had a nuclear bomb in Tehran? That's not an outcome that is acceptable to us, or really should be acceptable to anybody.
Yeah, the same leverage the North Koreans had. We can no longer F with their government. We can no longer threaten regime change. We just have to sit there and deal with them as a government. And then it would be exposed that lie about, oh, well, as soon as they get a nuke, they're going to attack us. No, that's going to be exposed as a lie. No, as soon as they get a nuke, we'll be forced to accept the Iranian regime as a legitimate government. That's what well, sadly, our government officials really don't want. And to me, honestly, I mean, I don't want them to have a nuke, but let's be real. All this active aggression has been pushing them towards a nuke. So we're not really getting our way on that aspect at all.
So I 100% support the president's goals here to keep nuclear weapons, to keep the worst weapons of war out of the hands of the Iranians.
A few more things, Mr. Vice President. You say there's progress being made here, and the trip to Pakistan was not fruitless. However, I'm not hearing the next step if the Iranians don't do the next step. You also campaigned for Viktor Orban in Hungary, and he lost that race, defeated after 16 years in power. Your thoughts about whether it was worth it to go support Viktor Orban?
Oh, guys, you got any question, comments, jokes, or disagreements? I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Just $2 and up, send it in the super chat. I see there's a lot of people who disagree, but I mean, hey, you can sit there and cry about it, but I ain't really engaging with it unless you're a member or you throw it in the super chat. And look, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. Just double tap the screen and like the video and cry to somebody else in the chat about it. That's all. That's all, my man. But all right, though, let's get back to our guy, JD. He's about to finish up here. Then we're going to get to Trump. But like I said, don't forget to double tap that screen.
In that race, considering he lost significantly, and he's one of the only European leaders who supports Vladimir Putin.
Well, first of all, Brett, I think that Viktor Orban's a great guy who's done a very good job. I think that his legacy in Hungary is transformational, 16 years fundamentally changing that country. But one of the reasons why we decided to do that, Brett, is not because, we can't read polls. We certainly knew there was a very good chance that Viktor would lose that election. We did it because he's one of the few European leaders we've seen who's been willing to stand up to the bureaucracy in Brussels that has been very, very bad for the United States. So, for example, when you see a European bureaucrat go after an American company, sometimes the only vote no, the only vote to protect that American interest has been Viktor Orban. We didn't go because we expected Viktor to cruise to an election victory. We went because it was the right thing to do, to stand behind a person who had stood by us for a very long time. So this wasn't about Russia, and fundamentally it wasn't about Europe. It was about the United States and the fact that he's been a good partner to both me and the president personally, but also to the United States. I'm sad that he lost. We'll work very well, I'm sure, with the next prime minister of Hungary. But it wasn't a bad trip at all, because
I know. Hopefully the next prime minister of Hungary ain't a raging like liberal. They're cooked, because the reason why Hungary was spared from, immigration was because of that guy, Viktor. He pretty much didn't allow any type of immigration in his country unless it was from Christian Ukrainians. And I think it was him and the guy in Poland who stood on business and did not allow anybody in that would disrupt their hegemony. So I respect that. And the problem is, if they've lost that, then their country's cooked. Like, Hungary might be cooked in the next couple of years.
it's worth standing by people, even if you don't win every race.
Mr. Vice President, stand by if you would. Special report continues with the Vice President of the United States after this.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube.
Like, I would say this, while other European countries were taking in randoms from the Middle East, it was Hungary and Poland that said, yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that whatsoever. You guys can do that over there in like France, Spain, UK. Go ahead. Y'all go ahead. But us over here in Hungary and Poland, yeah, well, we're not doing that. So shout out to them. But all right, let's get into it with this. What was it, on the phone interview?
Meetings yesterday. They
go back.
And we begin this Sunday morning with breaking news on the war in Iran. President Trump announcing moments ago a naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz is beginning. Coming up in moments, President Trump will join me in an exclusive interview to give us the very latest on the war on Iran, as high-level talks between the United States and Iran have concluded with no deal. It was the first direct talks between the two countries in a decade, and the highest level talks between the two since the Islamic Revolution in 1979. The talks beginning on Saturday and lasting 21 hours in Islamabad, Pakistan. Vice President J.D. Vance was in Pakistan leading the U.S. delegation, along with Jared Kushner and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, as a fragile ceasefire has been underway between the two sides since Tuesday, after President Trump agreed to give Iran 2 more weeks to open up the Strait of Hormuz or face further destruction. Now the president will implement a
what a lot of people don't know is that that's not really, threatening the Iranians, honestly, because the longer the Strait of Hormuz stay closed, the more damage on the global economy is done. This is day by day. So trust me, he's not helping. I mean, he's not really threatening the Iranians. He's only giving them more leverage by waiting this out.
naval blockade on the strait. Here's Vice President J.D. Vance after the talks in Islamabad this morning.
We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement. And I think that's bad news for Iran, much more than it's bad news for the United States of America.
Joining me now live on the telephone with the very latest is the nation's 45th and 47th President of the United States, President Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, thank you so much for being with me this morning. I know that your time is limited, and we appreciate you making the time to explain all of this to our audience. Thank you, sir.
Oh, guys, like I said, any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, you can feel free to super chat in. If you just want to support the show, you can send a gift. Appreciate the support, but don't forget to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get those likes up.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Maria.
Mr. President, can you explain to us what is going on right now with the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, we're going to be blockading. It'll take a little while, but it'll be effective pretty soon. And we had meetings yesterday. They, as you said, lasted 21 hours. That was a long meeting. We had some very, very good representatives, as you know, JD and Steve and Jared. So we were well represented, but we didn't get there on the important issue. They want to have nuclear weapons. They're not going to have nuclear weapons. I've been saying that for 30 years. I would never allow that to happen before I was in politics. And that country will not have nuclear weapons. Most countries shouldn't be allowed to have, but that country will not have nuclear weapons.
So, Mr. President, was that the red line there? Can you explain to us what went on in these talks? What did the United States ask of Iran, and how did they react?
Well, they reacted. You know, it was very interesting. It started off weak. They came in like they had the cards, but they don't have the cards. Their army or their whole.
Sadly, I mean, they kind of do. I mean, they're still able to attack Israel when they want. They're still able to attack our allies in the region and threaten their energy infrastructure and their water infrastructure as well. And they still maintain control of the Strait of Hormuz. These are all cards that they still hold, by the way. They still have a good amount of missiles left, a good amount of drones left. Our own intelligence is going against what our president is saying. Our president and Pete Hegseth are saying 90% of their missiles have been destroyed. Our intelligence only say 33%. So once again, that's more cards that they hold, which are their missiles. So I'm just so confused on when he says, oh, they hold no cards. Bro, if they held no cards, then we would have got that ceasefire. If they held no cards, they wouldn't have been able to walk away. And when you're able to walk away from a deal, obviously you have some leverage.
Military is obliterated. The whole place is obliterated. And, you know, as you know, levels of leaders are gone. They're literally gone. Khomeini's gone. The whole thing is gone. The whole place is gone. They have one thing that they can do. They can say, well, gee, we're going to put a mine someplace just a mine. We'll drop 1 mine, 2 mines, 10 mines. And that will, if you have a ship that costs $1 billion, you say, well, you know, I'd prefer not getting whacked by a mine, losing my ship or damaging it badly, at least. And so that's a little bit of a thing that they can do. That it's military might and military power don't do it, but, you know, it's extortion. And they're extorting the world. You know, we don't get our oil from there. We have so much. And one thing you said, and I don't know if anybody heard it well.
And here's the problem. It doesn't matter that we don't get much of our oil from there. The problem is oil is priced on a global metric, AKA we're not priced on the amount of oil that we have here in America. We're priced on the amount of oil that's circulating in the world. AKA, if that 20% is missing, gas is just going to be more expensive. Even if we don't get gas out of that, even if we didn't get any gas out of that 20% that comes out of the global gas that comes out of the Strait of Hormuz, prices would still go up. Why? Because oil is priced on a global metric, okay? It's a global commodity. And a lot of people don't understand that part, sadly.
But we have boats pouring up to the United States. They'll be filling them up and they'll be leaving, and they're going to be packed with the best oil you can get, light, sweet, crude. They're going to have the best oil that you can get. But so that's interesting, and it's great because we have a lot of oil. We don't get any. I mean, literally last year it was 1%. We did that as a favor. We don't need the Strait. But other countries do. And I will tell you, while we're on the subject, we're very disappointed with
Yeah, other countries do. Like I said, I mean, India, Japan, Pakistan, all these guys get around 50 to 80% of their oil out of the Strait of Hormuz. And that's how they keep their economy, their society afloat through that oil. The fact that we cut that off is going to make things, I mean, honestly, more expensive for them. Harder, life is going to be harder on them. And let's be real, if we're still getting products out of these countries, then those products are also going to be more expensive coming over here. Oh, and then for those of you guys said, well, they're just going to reroute. Yeah, it's a longer route. Whatever route Trump's proposing is going to be twice as more expensive to do, and it's going to get passed down to us. Yes, the transit fees of not being able to use the Strait of Hormuz will be passed down to us. And I'm not sure why people don't understand that.
They were very, very disappointed that they didn't come. Now they want to come and they want to help with the strait, and it won't take long to clean it out. So we're going to clean out the strait, and they'll be able to use the strait in not too long a distance. But we had a very intensive negotiation, and toward the end, it got very friendly. And we got just about every point we needed, except for the fact that they refused to give up their nuclear ambition. And that's the only point, frankly, to me, that was the most important point by far.
And I want to ask you about that, and I will get to NATO as well. But, Mr. President, you wrote on Truth Social this morning saying that we will begin the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz.
All right, guys, man, let's get to 100 likes by double tapping that screen and liking the video, man. We got over 600 y'all in here. We got 64 likes. So let's make sure we are double tapping that screen and liking the video. And any question, comment, jokes, or disagreements, I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Just $2 and up. Help us reach the goal so we can go ahead and open up the call-in line and have some of you guys up here.
Hormuz, and at some point we will reach an all being allowed to go in and all being allowed to go out basis. Right. So tell us what you're trying to accomplish with this blockade,
all in,
sir.
All out. Yep. It's called all in and all out. There'll be a time when we'll have them all come in and all come out, but it won't be a percentage. It won't be a friend of yours, like a country that's your ally or a country that's your friend. It's all or nothing. And that'll be, that won't be in too long a distance. No, we're just bringing the ships up. We got a lot of ships, so we're bringing them up. We think that numerous countries are going to be helping us with this also, but we're putting on a complete blockade. We're not going to let Iran make money on selling oil to people that they like and not people that they don't like or whatever it is. It's going to be all or none, and that's the way it is.
Are you stupid?
And it'll be, you saw what we did with Venezuela. It'll be something very similar to that, but at a higher level.
And Mr. President, you say that there may be a mine out there somewhere that nobody knows about but them, and this is world extortion.
No, I'm sorry, bro. So sometimes I gotta call out the most retarded of the people in the chat. Like this guy right here who pretty much says that we're letting everyone through the strait except Iran. Bro, are you retarded? No, I mean, actually, know what? I'm not even gonna say you retarded. You just don't know geography to make a statement like that. Do I need to bring up a map of the Middle East for you people to understand, like, how this blockade doesn't really do anything for us? You know what? I got you, because apparently y'all don't know where the Strait of Hormuz is to be making such a retarded statement like that. This is the Strait of Hormuz, right here. And let me go ahead and mainstream it for my people who are watching horizontally. So this is the Strait of Hormuz right here. And this is Iran over here. So, and this is what they're controlling. No ships can pass through here because Iran got three things that they're able to control the Strait of Hormuz with. One, the mines that U.S. says they're clearing out, but that doesn't really matter because that's not the biggest threat. It would be their drones and their missiles that they could fire into the Strait of Hormuz that they most likely got over here, you know, shelved up over here along the port somewhere. So, yeah, moving out the mines out of the Strait of Hormuz, that's not going to make these ships feel comfortable because the drones and the missiles could still go there. So guess what? And even the U.S. ships, they can't go through the Strait of Hormuz because they'll be getting attacked by missiles and drones, and they know this. So they're not here just pretty much allowing any ship they want to go through. The American ships are more like over here in the Strait of Oman, more like down there. Over here, aka outside the Strait of Hormuz. And what they want to do is they want to be able to block any ship that's going through here and paying that fee and getting around their money. They want to be able to block them at the Strait of Oman and say, yeah, you can't go here. So this is where we're blockading at, and this is where they're blockading at. Like, what do you mean? We have no control over the Strait of Hormuz. Right now, we're just stopping people in the Gulf of Oman, pretty much telling them to turn their ass around and stay right there. And I'm not even sure if we'll be able to commit to that, because we got our guys over here in Pakistan, we got our guys over in here in India that are our allies. And if they want that oil, what are we going to do? Attack them? When China comes over here, what are we going to do? Attack them? Like, think about how crazy this sounds. Now that I gave you this geographical lesson. All right, guys, make sure you double tap the screen and like the video, guys. Sorry, I had to do it for the slow people in the chat.
How will the United States ensure that the mines are removed in the Strait of Hormuz?
So we have minesweepers there now. We have highly sophisticated underwater minesweepers, which are the latest and the greatest, but we're also bringing in more traditional minesweepers. And so I understand is the UK and a couple of other countries are sending minesweepers. A lot of countries don't have minesweepers. Think of it. They had 28 mine droppers. What country has 28 mine droppers? 28 boats to drop mines. What country? They've been completely obliterated. They no longer. So we knocked out their entire Navy. They have 158 ships. They have 28 mine droppers. Every single one of them is at the bottom of the sea. Can you believe it? We did that in 4 days. Their Air Force is gone. Their if you look, anti-aircraft. All of their radars out. Anti-aircraft is their defensive program is all knocked out. They don't have anything. And you know the sad part is, and I can't say this is for you. We knocked out everything, including their leaders. Their military is gone. Everything's gone. Their missiles are down to a trickle. By comparison, you know, we knocked out thousands of missiles. We knocked out hundreds of places where the missiles are built, different parts. They're pretty much gone. Probably they say 85, 82%, 85%. Who knows what it is? But we knocked them out. We knocked out where they make the drones, and the drones are less effective now. And also, we have new machinery to kill the drones. You saw that. The computerized bullets, they call it, and also lasers. The laser melts the drone. It's a beautiful thing to see. So we have a lot of stuff. But think of it. We win this thing conclusively. Even yesterday, they were saying, no, it was a complete obliteration. And when you read the New York Times, you think they're doing well. Oh, they're fighting very hard. It wasn't a hard battle. This was a very easy battle militarily. But when somebody says, you know, we're going to drop a
very easy battle that we said was going to only last a week, but now we're like in the 5th, 6th week at this point. They still got their missiles. They still control the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, he's like, bro, this doesn't really sound like an easy battle when they're stringing the strongest army in the world out for over a month. It doesn't sound like an easy win. An easy win kind of sounds like Venezuela. But this is ridiculous. You want to call this, and oh, we're just whooping their ass, even though we ain't got nothing out of them yet.
Mine in the middle of the Strait of Hormuz. Not much you can do to persuade a ship owner that has $1 billion ship that we're going to take a trip up the strait. Now, yesterday, you probably saw, we sent 2 highly sophisticated, beautiful, brand new destroyers right through the middle of the strait. And nobody did anything to us because what we do is we follow the weapon back. So it follows back and it knocks out the people on the other side. Literally within 3 minutes, they're knocked out. The technology is unbelievable. But we don't know whether or not they do, whether or not they put mines. They didn't talk about it yesterday. My inclination is to have a few. And I will tell you, it was a good meeting yesterday, really a good meeting, except for one problem. And it's 95%. They want to have nuclear weapons. It's not going to happen.
And this is a key point, Mr. President. For those people out there who have not been following it as closely, can you explain to those people why it was critical for the United States to go into Iran? Can you articulate what was behind that move that was so important for the U.S. to go into Iran?
Yeah, so easy. The easiest question you've asked me so far. They can't have nuclear weapons.
Oh, guys, and for those of you who are honestly dumb enough to actually sit there and, you know, think that, oh, they're just going to come and buy U.S. oil. Well, 1, our oil is more expensive. 2, it's a longer trip for them, so it's going to be more expensive. I mean, and 3, I mean, yes, they're going to need the oil. They're going to have to buy it more expensive, but that price is not going to help nobody. It's still going to be more expensive on our side and way more expensive on their side. So a lot of y'all just don't know how this works, sadly. Like, and Trump is kind of playing on that. And it's sad because he should honestly know better than this.
They have nuclear. They want to enrich what they have. They want to enrich more. as you know, we knocked out with the B-2 bombers. Had we not knocked that out, they would have had a nuclear weapon within 1 month after we knocked out. In other words, had the B-2s, those beautiful B-2 bombers, totally obliterated.
You know what's so crazy though? Is like, so what, we bombed Mount Fordo for the 60% enrichment that they had since 2021. And if they weren't willing to grade a bomb in that time, oh, so please explain the intelligence that you got that said, oh, they were going to make one a month later. Because even Tulsi Gabbard said at that time that Iran posed no imminent threat. 2, they were not going towards a nuke. Their religious fatwa was still there. So to believe having a nuke is a sin. And the only thing that we had confirmation on them doing was advancing their missile arsenal. That's it. That's all. And I mean, advancing their missile arsenal is bad, but they weren't going towards no nuke. So we bombed Mount Fordo, which was, I guess, a win. But trust me, it wasn't because they were going to get a nuke in less than a month. Like, that's ridiculous.
There's 3 sites. They have 3 sites. And they are now deep in the earth with, tons of rock. Now, that material should be gotten, but we have cameras on it. We have satellites with Space Force.
And for people who says, well, why even have 60%? And that's actually a good question. The reason why they have 60% was supposed to be for a deterrent. That was actually supposed to bring the United States to the negotiation table so they can give that away. And 60% can be used for both. It can be used both as a deterrent and to progress towards a 90% enrichment to get to a nuclear weapon. But you cannot get a nuclear weapon with 60% enrichment. And all this about a dirty bomb, I'm pleased, perish the thought. It's not enough. But yes, with the 60% enrichment, you can either enrich it to 90% to get a bomb, or you can use it to as the deterrent to give away. And the reason why they got to that 60% enrichment in 2021 is because we exited out the JCPOA. And we did 3 acts of aggression towards them, because when they was under the JCPOA, we had proof, we had eyes on them that they were staying under that 3.6% enrichment. But in 2018, sadly, when Donald Trump got out of the JCPOA, he invoked the sanctions back on Iran, which was one of the whole reasons why they even signed the effing deal. So he backs out of the deal, invokes the sanctions, make the IRGC a terrorist group, kill General Qasem Soleimani. And this is all from 2028 to 2020. All active aggressions, by the way. And then by 2021, Iran comes out with 60% enrichment. And we've been at that stalemate ever since. Well, till today.
Beauty of Space Force, so important. But we're watching every single aspect of that area. They can't move without us knowing exactly what's going on. But it's deep down, and it takes a long time to get it out. It's an amazing attack. Had we not done that, they would have had, within 1 month from that date, they would have had a nuclear weapon.
Right.
If they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it on Israel and the Middle East. Look, they went after 5 countries that were sort of neutral, I guess. I don't know how friendly they were, but they weren't in the line of attack. They dropped on UAE probably 1,800 missiles. They dropped on Saudi Arabia a lot, and they dropped on Qatar a lot. They dropped on Bahrain. They went.
But here's the thing. They told us they were going to do that. They told us, yo, we're going to hit your U.S. bases and your allies if you attack us. AKA, we accepted the fact that they were going to attack our allies. We knew they were going to attack our allies if we attack them. And then we want to sit here and complain like, look, Iran, they're just evil. Look at them attacking their neighbors. And I'm like, yo, our neighbors actually hold U.S. bases that, that we're attacking them from. So what do you think they're going to do? Of course they're going to attack them. We kind of put them in danger by 1, popping off this war, and 2, having our bases there in the first place, which is supposed to be seen as an asset, but now they're making it a liability.
They went crazy, and everyone was surprised. Actually, it was good for us because they all joined us immediately, at some point. I mean, they're either going to be petrified or they're going to join. They all joined, and they've been very helpful.
Guys, believe it or not, actually, no, I'm conservative. A lot of you guys think I'm liberal. No, I'm anti-war. But I'm a conservative. I believe in Trump's immigration plans to get all of these immigrants, undocumented immigrants, out of here. I believe in stopping H-1B visas, abusing our American scholars. I believe in tariffs to bring back American manufacturing, especially the sector Pacific ones that he put on pharmaceutical and the chip industry. So I'm sorry, but if you think I'm a black liberal, bro, obviously you ain't been around long enough.
All all of these countries have been great, and Kuwait.
And this is the key point that I was getting to, and the reason that you feel they cannot have a nuclear weapon because they will use it. And that's what I wanted you to
I think they'd
explain to
use
the
it, yeah.
audience.
Yeah, I think they would use it. And they'd start with Israel, and one weapon would, do damage like nobody's ever seen. Wipe it out, conceivably, big one.
Now,
Not wipe it out.
Miss-
They don't need more than one. And then they go after the Middle East, and then they'd eventually come here, okay? And we're not letting them come here, and we're not going to let them. We have great allies over there. I'll tell you, those 5 countries.
And here's the thing. You can't even say my ideals are pro-Trump anymore because Trump is walking all of that back. I mean, he's out here signing with the Democrats for amnesty, talking about, well, we got to sit there and help out the undocumented who are on the farms. It's like, bro, you walking it back. I mean, bringing down inflation. He was at 2.4. It's at 3.3. Bro, he's walking it back. The tariffs, even those businesses, those $1 trillion deals with Saudi Arabia, at least, those are in danger now because they might not be able to commit that in money no more because now they have to rebuild their infrastructure. Everything that Trump, all this progress that Trump has made is now being threatened due to this idiotic war. And I know some people on MAGA want to sit here and be delusional, but I'm like, bro, we're not even getting what we voted for anymore. Wake up.
Yeah. Look at the Israeli relationship. Look at the incredible partnership we have on this. And, as Bibi Netanyahu said, we're the big brother and they're the small brother. And, it's been a very effective team. What we've done literally in a matter of days, within 3-4 days, Iran essentially was wiped out. And it's so sad, though, when the press says they're fighting bravely. They're not fighting bravely. They have no anti-aircraft. We fly over there.
Yeah, but here's a problem. One, their missiles are actually proving to be just enough to actually strike our aircrafts. And 2, bro, we're talking about an Air Force that was from the 60s and a Navy from the 70s. Bro, we're bragging like we took out a modern day Air Force. We didn't. We took out an Air Force that is 3 to 4 decades old. We took out a Navy that's about 3 to 4 decades old in military tech. So when he says that, that is not a flex. The most advanced thing about Iran is their missiles and drones. This is why one of the main things we're talking about is to water down their missiles, because that's the main threat that they have is their missiles, including those hypersonic ones and the cluster missiles that we found out about, a couple weeks ago. Who'da knew? Who'da knew?
At will, can take out anything we want. As you know, last week I said we're going to strongly consider knocking out their power plant.
Hey, shout out to my man Trailer Shift for the $10. He ain't had too much to say. He just wanted to show some support, bro, and I appreciate that. Shout out to you. Let me go ahead and give you a shout out real quick. And guys, don't forget to double tap that screen and like the video. If you have any question, comment, jokes, or disagreements, you can go ahead and super chat it in, or you don't even got to say nothing. You can just support the stream like my man right here. Shout out to my man Trailer Shift.
And the rest of their bridges. We took down their big bridge, but we just did that because we were having good discussions, and they go to the press. They're very good with public relations, much better with public relations than they are at fighting. They go to the press, and they say, President Trump said it's okay for us to have a nuclear weapon, when I never even spoke to him. And by the way, that would be the only thing I would never say to them. And they know that.
Right.
And then the New York Times, which is a fake paper. It's just a fake. You just believe the opposite. It's so sad.
I don't know. I can't even believe Trump when he judges these news industries no more, these news agencies. Because, I mean, bro, you was ready to believe CNN 100% approval rating. You was ready to believe that. Actually, you boast about that, but then you also call CNN fake news whenever they give you bad reporting. It's like, all right, bro. All right, whatever.
When you look at CNN, the New York Times, ABC fake news, NBC fake news, when you look at this stuff, it's so sad to see it. I mean, they report things that they know are false. It's almost treasonous, actually, if you want to really know the truth. It's almost treasonous. But if you're reading the New York Times exclusively, and their circulation, by the way, is way down.
Yeah.
It's way down. I'm proud to report that. But if you're reading the New York Times exclusively, you would say that they are doing great in the war.
Mr. President,
They're doing terribly.
I want to ask you about
The only
that.
thing they have is the ability to say, well, we may have some minds. And you know, if you have a ship, who wants to take a chance? You're not going to take a chance.
Mr. President, I want to ask you about that because you put out a tweet and it really gripped the nation a week ago when we were all
Actually,
waiting
yes.
and watching for the United States' next move should the Iranians not open the Strait of Hormuz.
Hey, somebody did ask a good question in the chat, though. Somebody said, what, from now on, you're telling me that only drones and missiles matter? And actually, yes. Actually, drones have changed the entire, like, way we do warfare. Like, if you haven't been looking at Ukraine and Russia, everybody's been saying, like, yo, these drones are a game changer. They're almost making aircrafts obsolete at a certain point. And we spent this whole time building up our aircrafts and ships and all this good stuff when we probably should have been focusing on those drones, to be honest. So actually, yeah, they are pretty important and they are changing the way we do battle now. It's going to be through these hypersonic missiles and high-tech drones that might be able to start flying these missiles, most likely. Well, probably doing it now. Actually, they're doing it now.
And you wrote this on Truth Social: a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have a complete and total regime change where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something wonderful can happen. Mr. President, you were criticized for this tweet because you said a whole civilization will die tonight. What do you want to say about that? And what can you tell us about next steps here? Are you planning further destruction?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. That statement brought them to the table, with the exception of the one thing, which I believe that they're going to give up.
See, the problem with this statement is that this is like the first time an American president just made a completely genocidal statement. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. It's like, yo, bro, like that. I mean, I'm glad he didn't do it. Maybe that did actually get them to come to the table. But they're right. It is a genocidal statement. Like, if we were to carry that out, they would pretty much say we were committing genocide because you made that statement. Remember, you already let them know the intent is to destroy an entire civilization. And if we was to commit to that, well, you said the intent was to destroy the entire civilization, aka genocide. Boy, I'm glad he didn't do that, though.
I believe they're going to give up in that pretty soon, to be honest, because it's not going to work. We actually thought we had them, and then all of a sudden they said, no, we want. So, you know, but I believe, no. And when I say that, but remember, what do they say to us? For years, I've had to listen to them say, death to America, right? They say death to America, death to Israel, America, the state.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, though. If you get mad at that, then you just don't know history, and you actually never really heard from the Iranian people. Because one, when they say death to America, they're talking about our government that constantly interferes in the Middle East and has brought nothing but destruction and mayhem to their country. And if you don't believe me, I mean Operation Ajax. If you don't know what Operation Ajax is, it's a CIA-led operation to where just because they voted in a president that wanted to give them a better deal on their oil, we're talking about Iran, by the way, a president who they voted in a president who wanted to give them a better deal on their oil. And because we didn't want to let them have a better deal on their oil, we popped off Operation Ajax, got him in there, put in the Shah, who's, well, you know, the whole king that they're axing, that you guys claim they're axing back for, but that lets me know you guys don't know history, because the Shah was an authoritarian. The Shah has secret police. The Shah was also cracking down on the Iranian people as well until they and selling out their resources to the U.S. Like, bro. So they actually rose up against the Shah that we put in, by the way, that we interfered in their politics after they voted for somebody else. We said, F what they talk about. We put it in our own guy. And you don't think that's going to breed any type of hatred for us? But all right, if that's not enough for you, do you know that we actually funded Saddam, gave that man the green light into attacking Iran? Yes, in the Iran-Iraq war, yeah, we were helping them out with we was helping Saddam out with the Gulf states, of course. They pitched in to take out Iran. The CIA helped Saddam get gas weapons to gas the Iranians. And they know that we did this. You don't think you thought they forgot? And you wonder why they yelled death to America. Well, now you know, because a lot of y'all people don't know because you don't know history. Well, guess what? I just filled it in for you. And if that was you and a government did that to you, how would you feel towards that government? And be real now. Be real about it. Don't sit there and act like a bitch now. Don't bitch down now.
We will destroy America. Death to America. Now, does anybody ever complain to you when they say that? I think that's a big step worse. Death to America. So they're allowed to say death to America. And what I'm referring to is, when I talk about civilization, it'll be much different because their military will be totally gone. It's pretty much gone now. But their military, look at their leadership. We have had regime change because the people we dealt with yesterday were, frankly, very smart, very sharp, very good, very good. I think they were smarter than the people from before, Khomeini and that group. Because look what it got them. Look what all of their antics were spending trillions of. They spent all their money on weapons. We've destroyed most of those weapons. Mm-hmm. But you know, when I say about a civilization, it really has changed. It really has. But think of it. They're allowed to say death to America, death to this, death to. And I make one statement, they say, oh, such a big deal. Let me tell
you know, after the history I just described, with the fact that this man just threatened to end their entire civilization, I mean, what do you expect these people to think of us? Like, I really want y'all to use y'all common sense. After the history I just explained, what do you think?